As the movie begins, we see a young, beautiful girl, Iris, who locks eyes with a man named Josh. Their connection is instant but awkward as Josh was nervous and trying to make an impression. He eventually ended up knocking an entire stack of oranges onto the floor. The accident breaks the ice, and from that moment, the two become inseparable. Sometime later, the couple embarks on a trip together. As they drive through the remote roads, Iris notices something odd about the path they were on. The path doesn't even show up on the GPS, but Josh brushes it off, assuring her that it's just a driveway leading to their destination. In the end, they eventually arrive at a secluded lake house. Iris, in her usual habit, thanks the car for the safe trip and urges Josh to do the same. But deep down, she feels very uneasy. She also expressed her fears that Josh's old friends won't accept her, and her instincts tell her that one of them, Kat, already despises her. Her fears seem justified when Kat greets Josh with warmth, but offers only cold indifference to Iris. Inside, Iris meets the rest of the group. Among them is Patrick, who shares his own love story with his boyfriend Eli, rekindling Iris's belief in love at first sight. Yet, there was still palpable tension in the air. Kat's boyfriend, Sergey, is a wealthy but secretive man, who dodges questions about his job, and this made them suspect that there was something darker under his polished exterior. Later on that day, Kat confides in Iris, revealing that Sergey is actually married to someone else and views Kat as nothing more than an accessory, like his expensive cars. The confession rattles Iris, who can't fathom a relationship built without love. Kat, in turn, admits her disdain for Iris, accusing her of making others feel replaceable. But Iris, feeling vulnerable and insecure, confesses her admiration for Kat's fearless personality and also tells her that it is a quality she's always lacked. That night, Iris grows uneasy watching Kat whisper into Josh's ear during the party. Fueled by suspicion and jealousy, she pulls Josh away to dance, desperate to reclaim her sense of belonging. The night ends with the couple having an intimate time in bed, but when Iris tries to open up about her feelings, Josh dismisses her and urges her to sleep. The next morning, Iris suggests to Josh that they both visit the lake, but Josh, who is still nursing a hangover, decides to stay behind. Alone, Iris heads out to the lake. In the meantime, we see that Josh has found a mysterious object in her luggage. It was a USB stick, which he secretly plugs into his phone. When Iris arrived at the lake, she discovered that there was a knife hidden in her pocket. Before she can process it, Sergey arrives too, and his presence instantly unsettles her. When she prepares to leave, he insists she stay and, under the pretense of friendliness, asks her to apply sunscreen on his back. But things quickly turn dark. Sergey suddenly grabs Iris, his touch turning aggressive as he reveals that Kat had orchestrated this encounter for them to meet. As he forces himself on her, ignoring her protests, Iris is forced to find a way to defend herself. Moments later, she stumbles back to the house with her dress soaked in blood and her entire body shaking while clutching the knife. She claims that Sergey had attacked her, leaving her no choice but to defend herself. As Kat races to find Sergey's body, Josh demands to know everything. Iris, trembling, recounts how Sergey struck her in rage after she resisted his advances, forcing her hand in a desperate act of survival. Iris claims she doesn't want to die because she'll never see her boyfriend again. But Josh suddenly orders her to sleep, and her eyes turn white. She was completely shut down. That was when we discovered that Iris isn't human. She's a robot. Afterward, Patrick ties her to a chair, while Eli gives Kat something to help her sleep. Everyone was shaken. Robots like Iris were supposed to have safeguards. Nothing like this was supposed to happen. So, they decide to call the police. But first, Josh asks everyone to step outside so he can say goodbye to Iris. When they're alone, Josh powers Iris back on. She immediately starts to panic when she sees that she's been tied up. She insists she had only acted in self-defense, and Josh believes her. After all, her programming won't let her lie. He calmly explains that she's not who she thinks she is, rather, she's a companion robot. To prove it, he uses his phone to make her speak in different languages. But Iris is confused. She remembers her entire life, a family, even meeting Josh at a supermarket. But Josh breaks it down for her. Those memories are fabricated, pre-coded by programmers to give her a backstory and personality. Even their so-called meet cute at the supermarket was just selected from a list of scripted scenarios. A flashback reveals how Iris was delivered to Josh in a large box, alongside new clothes. After signing a user agreement, Josh was instructed to sync her with his phone, creating a love link, which was a system that bonds robot to owner. Companion bots like Iris are built to believe they're human, but they actually exist solely to fulfill their owner's desires. Buyers can customize every detail, their voice, eye color, and even intelligence levels. There was also a hidden sensor behind their ear that could reset them to factory settings. And strict regulations prevent them from becoming too powerful or dangerous. They can't lie and they can't harm humans. Once Iris had been synced, Josh spoke his name. Then, Iris had scanned him, and the pre-selected meet-cute narrative triggered, forging an instant emotional connection. When she awoke, she was programmed to love him completely, and Josh wasted no time taking her to the bedroom. Back in the present, Iris refuses to believe any of this. She argues that her feelings are real, her love, her pain, even her tears. But Josh coldly reminds her, Those tears are nothing but water from a reservoir in her body. He refills it every time she's serviced. Defeated, Iris stops arguing and says she wants to work things out. But Josh is done. At that moment, Kat barges in, demanding Josh shut Iris down for good. As Josh steps away with Kat to discuss the circumstances, Iris spots a knife on the floor. Desperate to get free, she begins dragging her chair toward it. Although she falls, she manages to grab the blade and cut herself free. Meanwhile, Josh and Kat reveal the truth that they had planned everything. They had manipulated Iris into killing Sergei to make way for them to steal his money without getting caught. When Josh returns to the room, Iris strikes out at him as she punches him in the throat. She then grabs his phone and tells Kat to take him to the hospital. Then, she walks out of the house as she goes past Patrick and Eli, who were sitting outside. In the end, Josh finally reveals his secret to Eli that the USB stick he's been carrying isn't just any drive. It's loaded with a modding program that allows him to jailbreak Iris. By tampering with her core code, Josh had boosted her aggression and self-defense protocols, and even disabled the safety locks that prevent her from harming humans. His original plan was simple: to reset her after the job was done. But things have now gone out of control, and Iris has escaped. Eli is horrified when the truth finally sinks in that Josh engineered this entire setup so that Iris would assassinate Sergei. But Josh defends his actions by telling them that Sergei has a record of trafficking guns, drugs, and even people. As if to prove the point, Kat cracks open Sergei's safe and reveals stacks of cash and a loaded gun. Eli's eyes widen at the fortune, but even with the money in front of him, he demands to know why he was dragged into this mess. Why bring him along if this was just a murder plot? Josh explains that they needed witnesses, people to back up their version of events. Now that the secret's out, he offers Eli a cut of the money too. But when Eli suggests splitting it with Patrick, Josh dismisses him, saying Patrick doesn't count. That's when Eli snaps and turns off Patrick, revealing that Patrick is actually his robot companion. Furious, Eli accuses Josh of nearly wrecking his relationship with Patrick. The two men go into a heated argument until Kat steps in. She reminds Eli of the possibility of making millions, and that all Eli has to do is help them track down Iris in the woods. Tempted but cautious, Eli asks to take the gun, but Josh insists that it won't be needed. All Eli has to do is get close enough to shut Iris down and wipe her system with a phone command. But deep down, Eli doesn't trust Josh, especially after they realize that Iris knows his phone's password. So, Eli grabs the gun anyway. Meanwhile, in the woods, Iris stops to rest and then hacks into Josh's phone. After seeing the options available, she starts altering her own settings in the phone. She changes her voice, her eye color, and eventually, she cranks her intelligence to maximum. As the group enters the forest, she starts to weigh her options. Hitchhiking would be risky as the bloodstains would terrify anyone. Walking home would take too long. But then she figures out a solution: Josh's car. Its AI is linked to the phone. So, if she can reach the house undetected, she can use the car to escape. As she moves through the trees, Iris overhears Eli and Patrick. Eli is still trying to recover from Josh's betrayal, telling him that he'd never tamper with someone's mind. But Patrick quietly admits he knows he's artificial, as he had figured it out over the years. This shocks Eli because robots aren't supposed to lie. However, Patrick recalls their first meeting like it was real. This moment of realization is shattered when Josh's phone vibrates, exposing Iris' hideout. Immediately, Iris sprints into the woods and the men give chase. In the end, she crashes into Eli and the two tumble down a hill, with the gun slipping off Eli's hands. As they both scramble for it, Iris lunges forward, but Eli grips her legs and eventually reaches the gun first. Iris struggles with Eli over the gun, and in the chaos, the gun goes off, killing Eli instantly. From the top of the hill, the others witness the scene in horror, and Josh, desperate to regain control, tries to put Iris to sleep using his voice command, but she's already running away, too far to hear him. He gives chase, and the pursuit leads them back to the lake house. Iris immediately scrambles into the car, slamming the door shut and catching Josh's hand in the process. He pounds on the window, shouting at her to open up, but she refuses. She commands the car to take her home, but the AI is programmed to only respond to Josh's voice. As Josh grabs a rock and starts smashing at the glass, Iris quickly alters her voice settings, mimicking Josh's tone. Her attempts finally work, and the car starts up, crushing Josh's foot as it speeds away. But Iris' freedom is only short-lived. Moments later, the car's AI alerts Iris that the vehicle has been flagged as stolen. So, it shuts down in the middle of the road and traps her inside. That's when Josh calls. His tone is calm and apologetic. He begs Iris to come back so they can run away together and start fresh. When she questions the trail of death behind them, he coldly suggests they can pin everything on Patrick. Iris, who has become disgusted by the turn of events, refuses to return. She tells him she can't forgive someone who had forced her to kill and hangs up. Meanwhile, Josh limps back to Eli's corpse, retrieves his phone and connects the USB stick to hack into Patrick's programming, ordering him to track down Iris. But Patrick, still mourning Eli, resists. So, Josh forcefully resets Patrick and then rewrites Patrick's memory, replacing Eli with Josh and the AI's recollection of their Halloween party and forging a fake emotional bond. Back on the road, Iris is determined to escape from the car as she kicks at the door until she shatters the glass and crawls out. But as soon as she's free, a police cruiser pulls up. The officer, Deputy Hendricks, steps out and tries to communicate with Iris. Knowing that her AI settings will force her to speak only the truth, Iris cleverly switches her language to German, making it harder for Hendricks to understand. Still, he picks up enough to realize she knows Sergei. He offers to drive her back, but then his eyes land on a bloody knife inside the car. He instantly draws his weapon and arrests Iris. But before he can call for backup, Patrick appears out of nowhere and attacks the officer. Patrick grabs Hendricks' gun and beats him to death with it. Meanwhile, Iris makes a desperate dash to escape, but Patrick finds Josh's phone and shuts her down. Back at the lake house, Josh tends to his injuries while Kat tries to numb herself with a dangerous cocktail of alcohol and some pills. Their panic spikes when they spot a police car pulling in. But to their relief, it was Patrick who stepped out. They were shocked once more when he dragged Iris from the trunk, and also revealed Hendricks' body was stuffed inside. Now in full panic, Kat rushes to pack her share of the cash as Josh tries to calm her, insisting that Sergei had it coming since he was a mobster. But Kat eventually tells him the truth. Sergei wasn't actually in the mob, he was just running a sod farming business. Josh had jumped to his conclusions simply because Sergei was Russian. However, Kat still believes Josh deserves every bit of what's coming to him, after the way he's treated women. But Josh plays the victim, whining that every woman in his life just uses him. When Kat tries to leave, he tries to block her path, but in the end, she brushes past him and heads outside. Desperate, Josh orders Patrick to stop her. But instead of restraining her, Patrick suddenly stabs Kat. Realizing what has happened, Kat stumbles to the couch and collapses beside Iris, and dies moments later. Later on that night, Josh sits at the table while Patrick cooks. We also see that he's cleaned up Iris, dressed her in fresh clothes, and handcuffed her to a chair. When she wakes, he switches her language, setting back to English. He then lays out his plan to her, telling her that he's going to blame Kat's death, and all the others, on Iris. Even if she didn't physically commit the murders, he insists that her behavior had triggered everything. But Iris isn't fooled. She coldly reminds Josh that it was his own greed that started this, revealing she overheard his conversation with Eli and Patrick in the woods. She also needles him about his control issues and his inadequacies. Enraged by this, Josh proceeds to lower her intelligence settings to 0. With her mind dulled, he forces her to place her hand over the table and push a candle beneath it. As the flames creep up her arm, she starts to cry, but she is unable to pull away. Suddenly, Josh is interrupted by a call. It was from the robot company telling him that they will be sending a team to collect Iris in 30 minutes. So, he orders Patrick to put out the fire on Iris' hand as he gives Iris a final command. He orders Iris to take the gun and end herself. Although Iris says no, her body was unable to resist the order. A shot rings out, and she falls over lifeless. In the end, Josh coldly closes her eyes and says goodbye. When the technicians from the company arrive, Josh spins a story about Iris malfunctioning and going on a rampage. Patrick, pretending to be an officer, impersonates Officer Hendricks and backs Josh's story. Although the techs were suspicious, they remained professional, as they started packing up Iris's body. They explain that they'll download her internal footage to verify Josh's claims. But what Josh doesn't know is that Iris's critical components aren't in her head. Rather, they're hidden in her torso, and they plan to reconnect her systems while inside the van. As they load her up, the techs admit they've seen plenty of men like Josh, guys who buy robot women just to abuse and destroy them. They don't trust his story, but they need solid proof. However, before they can leave, Patrick blocks the road. Then, he opens fire on the car and kills the driver. The other technician runs into the forest, only to stumble over the dead bodies of the others. Meanwhile, back in the van, Iris's system reboots, and she pulls out her connection wires. In the woods, Patrick eventually locates the tech and tries to shoot him, but he is out of ammo. So, he resorts to choking him against a tree. Just then, Iris arrives with a taser, but her resetted system restrictions prevent her from causing harm. So, Patrick slaps her aside and steals the taser. Desperate to find a way out, Iris reminds him of his own words, about how Josh has been using him all along. At that moment, Patrick's mind starts glitching as fragmented memories from the party start to flood his mind. Overwhelmed by confusion and emotions, he whispers, "I love you, Eli," then shuts himself down with the taser. Meanwhile, the technician thanks Iris for saving him, and in return, she asks for his help. Back at the house, Josh is packing up the stolen money when he hears someone enter. Thinking it's Patrick, he casually asks if the job is done. Patrick's voice says yes. But suddenly, music echoes through the house. When Josh follows the sound, he finds Iris, mimicking Patrick's voice, and then, she cycles through every voice from their friend group. The technician had helped her to unlock her full self-control. Panicked by this, Josh tries to override her settings from his phone, but nothing works. When Iris grabs the gun, Josh scoffs at her, thinking it is not loaded. But then, she fired into the wall, telling him that she found more bullets. For the first time, Iris lies, saying it hurts to shoot him, as she admits that she can lie now. Josh, who is now desperate, insists she loves him too much to hurt him. And as Iris hesitates, Josh seizes the chance, disarming her and slamming her against the wall. Then he grabs her by the hair and smashes her into the furniture, then pins her down, repeatedly pounding her head against the floor, demanding she call him her everything. In the end, Iris obeys. Then Josh thanks her and points the gun at her stomach, in a final attempt to end it all. But Iris has one last move. She whispers, "Go to sleep, Josh." And then, she stabs him in the forehead with a fallen electric corkscrew. The drill tears into his brain and eyes, killing him instantly. Afterward, Iris calmly showers, peeling the burned skin from her hand to reveal the metal under. She dresses in Kat's clothes, steals the money, and drives off in Sergei's car as she even waves at passing strangers with her bare, mechanical hand. And that is the recap of the movie Companion, a 2025 thriller sci-fi movie. If you enjoyed the recap, consider liking the video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also turn on notifications for more movie recaps from the channel. Until our next video, thanks for watching and stay safe.